Welcome to Effortless Conversations. I have Tammy here on the line. We're doing this new thing called Effortless Conversations where we just talk whatever comes up in the flow effortlessly. Hi, Tammy.
Hi.
Here we are. So, just so the audience knows about us, why don't you introduce yourself, like, where you're from, what you're into, and that kind of thing.
I am Tammi Fryer, and I'm from Fresno, California. And I, there's so much that I'm into. So specifically, are you talking about hobbies or a career? You know,
Well, I figure like when we talk about effortless conversations, we might have different topics that we talk about here. Maybe we talk about dating, we talk about relationships, we talk about money, we talk about health, life, raising kids, whatever, parenting.
okay.
So what perspectives, what background do you have in those particular areas that you'll be shedding light on in our conversations that we have?
Well, I have four children and I'm divorced and I have done several businesses. I have been into the arts. I'm a dancer and I have done a talk show before. I was into real estate investing. I've done so many things. I went to college and taught college for a while. And I won Mary Kay cosmetic car. I did that when I was 18. I was the youngest director. So I've dabbled into so many different businesses. I've been into the arts. I did some acting in the Nutcracker along with some dancing. And
Mm.
I like to perform. I love fitness. I do weight training and I love Pilates and yoga. And I was doing yoga before it was on every corner. And I was trying to find organic food, and the only place that had it was this one Christina Ranch Market. Trader Joe's wasn't even here. This was like 20 years ago. And now that Costco has it, I'm like, whoa, consciousness is raising. This has been
Right.
good. But yeah, I've been exploring a lot of different spiritual studies. I started basically trying to understand life through college and communication. I have a degree in speech communication, which is basically psychology and human communication and a business emphasis as well. And so all of that culminated into all the different careers. And I love exploring life, trying new things. A lot of people say that I'm irresponsible, but I'm not. I just like trying and doing new things.
Sounds
And
fun.
yeah, it's fun. Life is fun. It's supposed to be enjoyed, right?
Yeah. And you have you were talking about spirituality and things like that, or I know you're into Abraham and different,
Yes, I did into Abraham and I read the Seth books. I studied Buddhism. I studied Eckhart Tolle. I've read so many books. I can't even count them all. I just really it fascinated me and about the oneness and about unity consciousness and all of and I love Joseph Campbell because he studied before the internet. He traveled the world and found all the commonalities of spirituality in a number of religions and even mythology, which I found very fascinating and it excited me because I was raised to be Catholic or Christian and had a lot of those values, and I felt like it was crammed down my throat. But
mm,
since then, I had this thing where I was like, you know what? I don't believe it. They're forcing it. I don't like it. And I was resisting it because it was forced upon me. And then years later, as I started studying about these spiritualities and seeing that there's truths in every, spiritual study, whether it's any religion or mythology or whatever, I went and I met a woman that was Catholic and she had the Dalai Lama picture in her office. And I was like, that is so cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So I started to open up and embrace all of it. So I was looking for answers because life was really painful with the way I was raised to stress, strain, and struggle to make things happen and sacrifice and all of that stuff. And I thought, I know we didn't come here to get tortured. There's
Mm-mm.
got to be answers. So I started with my communication degree, trying to understand human communication. And then it went into spirituality, studying Buddhism. And then I first found Abraham. It just basically the book fell off the shelf. And I was like, this is interesting, and I looked at the back and when I saw it was channeled, I was like, this is weird. I don't know. But I bought the book anyway, and I just couldn't get myself to read it because I was kind of freaked out about the channeling because I'd never known anything like that. And I had some friends that were into a lot of the spiritual new age type stuff, and they were having affairs and their lives were like all over the place. And I was like, they must know what they're doing, so I discounted it for a long time.
Yeah.
But as life happened and I was continuing to search, that's when I started meditating, and I found a meditation teacher, and she meditated twice a day, every day for 45 minutes. And that was supposed to be the end all be all meditating. And she was one of the most egoic people I ever knew. And she was very judgmental, and she was kind of harsh at times. And I thought, gosh, if meditation is the answer, then how come she's like that, And I was just questioning a lot of these things because it's always like this new thing is the answer.
Right.
So I just kept searching and searching. And meditation is something that does work for me because my mind is very rapid and I tend to overthink. And I think that's something that really helps to ground me. I don't want to make it into a chore, so I don't set a time and try to do it the same every day. But when I feel like I want to be refreshed and I feel the impulse to do it, I will meditate. And I find it to calm me and reset me just the way Abraham says, you can, if you're but if I'm in a really bad place, I take a nap, as we discussed before, because that works way better because my mind won't stop.
Right.
So I started with yoga because it felt like when I first started meditating, it felt like I was scratching, the chalkboard scratching feeling.
Yeah.
I just think I was just too tense just to sit there. So yoga was the bridge into it. So I feel like everybody is so unique and diverse in their experiences that I really do feel like there's no one path for everybody. Everybody needs to go out there, explore, and see what works for you.
I like
One
that.
size does not fit all.
True that. True
Yeah.
that. So, how did we meet? Like, what about me? Like, how did we come together? Maybe just so the audience
We
knows.
met on the cruise. First of all, I was on the Baltic Sea, the Scandinavian cruise. This last what was it? When was it? Gosh, it was I can't even remember what it was. This summer, right?
Yeah, right over the
It's
summer.
like
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Yeah, it feels like it, right?
Yeah, but anyway, we met Rose, my
Amsterdam.
roommate.
Yeah.
Her and I really resonated, and we had a lot of fun on the cruise. And she also listens to Abraham, and we were going to the Abraham workshops on the cruise. And she told me that she had met somebody because she knew that I wanted to write a book.
Right.
And I said, really interesting. And then you and I met when we were at that Abraham. It was
Cocktail party. Yeah.
the cocktail party.
Up on the
And
top
I
deck.
met
That was
you.
fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
That cruise was just so fun.
It
Oh,
was so alive. Everybody was in a good mood and
I know.
partying
To
fun.
me, that ABBA
The
night, oh
vibe was just incredible.
gosh,
I
vibe
always
was
tell
so
people like
fun.
about these cruises, like how like the vibe on them, like I can't even describe it. Like it's so high
Well,
energy. It's such a high energy, positive environment.
yes, and I was around, I don't have anybody at home or around me that studies Abraham or any of the spiritual stuff. I just do it on my own.
Hmm.
And when I went on the first cruise to Alaska, I was like, whoa, these people are like mini me's talking like me, thinking like me. I was freaked out and I was
Yeah.
like, whoa. And then on this cruise, I relaxed a little more and I got to know everybody a little bit better. And it just feels like home,
Yeah.
just everybody, because we all have the common goal of just enjoying one another. There's no agenda. And when I met you, you were just happy and jovial. And I thought, who co-authors book when they don't know the person? I thought, because the academic world, you have to do the research, you got to look people up and see what their credentials are and all that. But I thought it
Right.
was kind of cool because you're going on your, the intuitive sense, and you're going
Right.
on what you feel about the person. And when you are really spiritually connected, you understand that we're all one,
Hmm.
that, we draw from others what we expect. So it made total sense to me. So that I got your card. And then when I got home, took a minute to get used to the new time change. And I was a little nervous about reaching out because I've had in the past, my mind was working. Oh, you've had all these other opportunities that didn't work out. And I was like, simmer down to the mind. And I just said, I'll know when it's time. And I thought, what will it hurt just to talk to him? And
Right.
then that's when we connected and we started talking, and it just felt easy, like
Yeah.
your effortless being, very effortless.
Effortless being. And so what did you think about the Effortless Being channel? I know because then you started getting exposed to that and looking at some of the
Yes,
interviews.
I
Anything there
actually,
resonate with you on them?
well, what's funny is with the Abraham work, I realized the reason why I struggled with it for so many years. I would have success, but it was all, in and out. It would
Yeah.
work sometimes, it wouldn't, because I didn't realize that what I was missing was coming from a wholeness and seeing myself as complete. And when I saw your YouTube channel and I was watching your mirroring and the interviews, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a different vantage point. It's the same thing, but from a different vantage point. It's almost like a shortcut, you
Yeah.
know. I'm complete and
Shortcut.
whole and I create from there. Wow. And it took a minute for me to wrap my brain around it. And then you guys were talking about using all this terminology that I never heard before. Like, I was like, okay, mirroring. What the heck is mirroring? And
Yeah.
I was fascinated with the mirroring because, wow, years of therapy that I had that I stopped doing because it was dredging up past stuff that wasn't relevant and it was just not serving me anymore. There was a time where it was necessary and good, but I outgrew it. And seeing your mirroring, I was like, whoa, he just holds a space for people and sees them kind of like what I read Jesus did, just sees people as well and people would be healed. And I
Mm.
thought, wow. And it's almost like the mind wants to go, oh, it can't be that simple. Come
Yeah.
on. It's
Mind
always
loves
been
doing
there.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really. And I do tend to get heady and I get carried away because my mind is very active. But then I have a very strong consciousness and it overrides. I can laugh at my thoughts. I can laugh at myself when I get too much into the character. And sometimes, yes, I get tangled up in it, but I know, and then I'll take a nap or I'll meditate. But the mirroring that you did, and when I was watching it, first of all, I was like, okay, how does this tie in with Abraham? You know,
Yeah.
because they're kind of the same, but I'm not sure. And so when I started, it was David Bingham is the person that, yeah,
Yeah.
I went to his channel to try to understand some of the terminology that was used. And I had a little, and then they were using the word consciousness, and I was like, okay, that sounds so new agey. And, but I thought, what are they talking about? But what, to my delight, I was really able to understand all of it. I just need to look up some definitions of the
Yeah.
terminology. And it resonated deeply. And I felt like it gave me a shortcut and another reminder because Abraham says you need to be who you really are and know that first. But yet,
Yes.
hearing it, seeing it from a different vantage point kind of really cemented it for me. So
So how do you see yourself now? Like, what do you see yourself as? Do you see yourself as whole and complete? How do you view yourself?
I view myself as, whole and complete. Who I really am is non-physical. I'm connected. I've got an inner being that is part of the whole me, all of me in the non-physical, and that I am basically you guys in the circle of effortless being. It's the character, but with Abraham, it's basically you have the inner being within you. So there's two parts of you, the one that's aligned to the inner being and one that's not. So kind of the same thing. It's just when you're used to versed in thinking that
Terminology.
way,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of hard to go, oh, wait a minute. But I was really when I thought about effortless being, I'm like, wow, whole and complete. I'm already that. I'm already abundant. There is nothing to do, just be. But I remember that before I started really studying really getting into Abraham, I studied the oneness. And I did that for a while where I was just being. And I had a mortgage to pay. I was a single mom. I had kids
It's
to
like the
feed.
bills
I
gotta
was
get
like,
paid.
oh, just be,
Yeah.
feel good. I'm like, well, that's not paying the bills. It's not, I can't just be in this space.
Yeah.
And it also, it's kind of after a while, you kind of get bored,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, okay, I'm whole and complete. Then why am I here? And I remember Abraham saying, you're here because because a lot of people will go and meditate, like they'll have these retreats. Well, they'll meditate for
Yeah.
a freaking, whole week or even a month. And I was like, I am not doing that. Oh my gosh, these people are sitting on a rock and said, and then when I heard Abraham said, you came here for the thrill of being human and enjoying, and that really resonated with me. I was like,
Yeah, me too. That
yes,
having that
this is
fun, that
something
energy, that alive
yes.
feeling. Yeah.
But I did realize that me actually wanting to create without knowing who I am and being in lack and trying to be
Yeah.
somebody, trying
That's
to
the thing.
pull from that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's torture.
I
I
know.
mean,
And there's a lot
torture.
of people in that trap, like in that
Oh
law of
yes,
attraction crowd. They're trying to manifest from lack, like saying that something outside of them is going to bring them happiness, you know. But
yes.
when you're manifesting, like as you were saying, if you look at yourself first and you know that you're whole and complete, now you're manifesting from wholeness, completeness. Don't you think it takes on a whole new energy with that?
It feels so light and so fresh. And it's just, and
Effortless.
when I get tangled up, I go to the effortless being.
Yeah.
And okay, get out of your head, get back
Rest
here.
back, rest back. Yeah.
Yes, but if I can't feel the effortless being because I'm so wound up, I'm so
In the
down
head. Yeah.
the scale, I will use some of the processes like meditating or
Hmm.
journaling or positive aspects
Or
or
go take a
get
nap.
angry. If I'm like depressed, maybe I'll get angry, take a nap.
Yeah.
So it depends on where you are. So I feel like both effortless being and marrying the two and using them and applying them when whatever feels best in the moment has been
Yes.
I feel like it was kind of like it clicked everything into place you know
Perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just think it's all so beautiful, and I did go through a phase where I was like, man, I got so many false premises from humans that wrote books, and I thought, oh, Abraham is infinite intelligence, they're never going to give me any false premises, so I'm only going to listen to Abraham. And then when I thought about writing a book, I kind of put myself in that box. I said, well, you're going to get false premises out since you didn't want to do that. So, it kind of turned, it turned on me.
Yeah.
And then after meeting you and watching your clips and reading the books, I was like, wow, because maybe I kind of miss the fact that they're human and they have a perspective that's kind of could really help, which really did help. And that's when I thought maybe writing a book from my experiences will uplift those that resonate with it. So it opened up this opportunity that we're doing this book together, and I was so impressed with the fact that you just being in this effortless being and just being in the now and being present, that you're a feeler, you're feeling, you're not just thinking. And when you wrote the introduction and the preface, it was like magical. And I got goosebumps and my heart literally felt full because it was spot on what I was wanting to create. And there was a little bit of guilt that I didn't be a part of that writing, but I was a part of it because I had the ideas and we were talking, bantering back and forth. But that's that old way that it has to be a little hard, right? It can't be that, you know?
It can just be easy and effortless. Like when you're functioning from effortless being, it just flows. And you really brought it out. I mean, you're the one calling it all into place. I'm just like the mirror and the space for it. And then the energy's just flowing. So take
Yes.
credit for it. You're the one doing
Yeah.
it. You're bringing it
And
out.
the thing about it is, I'm at a point in my life where I don't really need the credit. It was more of feeling like I wasn't doing my part,
I
you know?
get it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's
you
kind of
are. But you are. Yeah.
I know. And I
Yeah.
felt it. And it's funny because since you've been talking about the mirroring,
Yeah.
I have noticed that using my recorder as my mirror
Love that.
has been really good at reflecting back to me because I already know and intuit all of it. But for
Mhm.
some reason, just listening to myself and just talking it out, that consciousness answers.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful.
The other part I like about it, even in addition to the book, is talking about like effortless conversations and just like getting on like together like this and just having an effortless conversation, just letting it flow. I just think that's kind of a neat aspect to it too. Like we can just get on and then just bring up a topic and then just let it flow and talk to it. I think people will benefit from hearing that. What do you think?
I actually feel like we are like so complementary. Just as you said in the book, two rivers flowing into one. It just works. And I had this idea of, again, doing maybe a YouTube channel because I had the talk show before. And the talk show, my readiness wasn't quite there. I was glad for the experience. I had fun with the experience, but I wasn't, it's kind of like eating fruit before it's ripe kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
So I got a little taste of that, but I had more depth and growing that I think made it not as satisfying at the time, which is okay. But I did it for a season. And so I was sitting at Starbucks and I started writing out talk show ideas,
Mm.
and a YouTube channel ideas, and I thought, And then I met a woman at my Pilates studio that was interested in doing a YouTube channel and maybe TikTok, and the TikTok thing didn't resonate with me. But something in me just felt off about it. It didn't feel right. And I felt like I was going down that same path that I
Yeah.
did before. And it just felt off. So I just left it alone. And then when I started talking to you and we started doing the book, it just was like, oh my gosh. Because I think what I love the most is conversing
Yeah.
about
The
spirituality.
bantering back and forth and
Yes,
talking.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
That's the
yes.
fun part. I think
It
people pick
is.
up on that,
I do too.
fun.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, what show was it? Because people might be listening, be like, okay, she did a talk show. What was her talk show about? They're probably like,
In the
what was
ether
she?
somewhere. I don't know where it is now. It was called Beautiful Dorks, and it had a flamingo, a pink flamingo. All right. And it had this quirky music in the beginning for the show. And we had a follow your bliss section where people were following their passions. And that was coined from Joseph Campbell that we adopted because I really liked the passionate at following our bliss and our passion. And we had the dorks manure where we took contrast, the manure is fertilizer, and then we take contrast as the poop that is as fertilizer turns into something beautiful. So that we would take an issue and then we would show how it was resolved. So I know it's silly, but we had a lot of fun with that. And we had local guests come in and everything like that. And I did it for a season and we had guests come in and it felt very on. And I also at the time wasn't ready to share with people what I was studying because when I shared with a few people the stuff I was studying, I had a friend who was diabetic and she read the book and she stopped taking her insulin and almost died.
Oh boy.
So yeah, just people that weren't ready, that were studying it and going extreme. So, and I also was obnoxious with it with my children and I kind of overdid it and I was green and and I was excited. It's not a problem, but I just wanted to be respectful and just kind of do it for myself and really get versed in it for me too. So kind of was that way. And you really can't go further unless you tell people or share with people how they're getting what they're getting. If you don't start with the base of who you are, you're just going to be getting, all kinds of mixed manifestations and they're not going to be very satisfying.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that I was missing that foundation of effortless being, the being who we really are, being aligned first. And then I heard it a billion times.
Right.
But
Just didn't
again,
click, right?
it doesn't click because, like Abraham says, words don't teach, life experiences do. So I think I was just so versed in doing and making things happen that the processes, I can do that, I know how to do that, but learning how to let go and be, it sounds easy, right?
Yeah.
For somebody who's got deep grooves of doing, I think that is the most challenging thing you could ever do in your life when you're used to making it happen and you want control. And that's another aspect is there's got to be a trust and a knowing.
Right.
You can only get that trust and knowing by testing it out a little bit, testing it here, testing it there. But that's one thing that kept me in the game, so to speak, was when Abraham said, don't take our word for it. Try it out for yourself. We're not, you don't need us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how wonderful that was because all the religions, we're the one and only true church, and all that. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh. And I said, oh, wow. So if joy is the goal, how can I lose, if I'm trying to be joyful? There's no downside. because I had a meditation teacher tell me that I should just drop it because I was so frustrated because I was misusing it and not understanding. But I intuited that no, it's me that's not using this correctly.
Yeah, I
So
love what you say because the direct experience is what I tell everybody on my Effortless Being channel is direct experience is king. It don't matter what people are saying. People can tell you everything, but unless you see it in your direct experience it and know what you truly are and see it in your direct experience, it really doesn't matter. And the other thing you said about there's nobody better or any hierarchy than anything. And
I
this
love
isn't
that.
something that everybody has their internal intuition, that feeling of openness and
Yes.
joy and ease, or that contracted, limited, effortful, striving feeling that everyone knows what that is in their direct experience. So they can follow that as their intuition. They don't need like a special guide or guru or whatever.
No,
We all have it inside of ourselves.
I love that. I think that's why I've always been drawn to self-empowered type of businesses. I've
Yes.
always been drawn to like Mary Kay Cosmetics. It's about empowering you and you having your own business and being the best you can be rather than being a boss, having the employees follow you. I've always intuited that that is the better path for me. And
Yeah, it's
that's
funny you say that because a lot of people on my Effortless Being channel, a lot of them, they might, they might have something might have made them start seeking. Maybe something happened in their childhood, or they got a sickness, or they went through a divorce or a breakup, or something traumatic happened in their lives, and all of a sudden, the world that they thought was so safe and fulfilling, now they start questioning, and they're like, well, something's missing. And so then they
mhm.
go on this spiritual search, and they search all these things, the Eckhart Tolle,
Yeah, I did all that.
Abraham, every different thing you can think of to try to find the satisfying answer. They're seeking and searching. Like, what would you say to people like that are out there seeking and searching, looking to all these things? They feel like something's missing outside them, and they're on this search, and they actually could be suffering from their seeking by all the seeking that they're doing. What would you say to them?
Well, I think everybody's at different paths, their readiness is different. So one answer wouldn't really suit someone because some people they're just not even ready to hear the spiritual aspect and you might have to use layperson's terms.
Yeah.
But for instance, if I had gotten this effortless being presented to me 20 years ago,
Yeah. How would you
woo,
react?
it would have been over my head. All right, not happening. Remember when I couldn't even handle the oneness book? I was like, all right, yeah, I am whole and complete, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
love that.
that was not going to do it for me. But the entry of, The Secret, the book, The Secret, was
Yeah.
all about manifesting and all of that, but it got me in the door. Yeah, and I
Mhm.
searched from there, and then I found Abraham too. Well, I knew about Abraham, and
Didn't that feel empowering though? The secret, 'cause for me, the secret
yes,
was I felt because previously I felt like a victim, like everything was
yes,
happening to me. And all of a
we have
sudden I
creative
heard, wait, what my
control.
thoughts can create my reality. So if I
Uh-huh.
purposely think it, I really believe it, then I can
Yes.
actually change my reality. I don't have to just be the victim. Like
The
to me, it
first
felt so empowering.
Me too. I heard it from the Seth books. I create
Ah,
my reality and I ate
yeah,
that book up, but that book was weird. There were some
yeah,
things in there that I was like, whoa, this is too much for me. The
yeah.
second book, especially. But yeah, I know. I felt
You know
so
what I'm talking about?
empowered.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the door that opened. So if you're new and you're not used to the spiritual lingo and you're not versed in that, I think I even had to start with a communication course at college.
yeah,
And
yeah.
after that, I studied Buddhism. And then after that, I studied, it was a progression, psychology and all of that. So I was like an infant in the sense of learning because of my upbringing and my parents' lack of education. And they really had a rough time. And they did an awesome job considering their history of,
Yeah.
raising their children. But I was like so hungry and wanting to know and so eager to figure out what the heck's going on here. So I was just absorbing in one step after the other. So if somebody, to go back to your question, I think if they're ready, the best thing would be to let them know they need to start with the effortless being and knowing who you really are and then
Yeah.
act from there, because creating isn't deliberate where you go and you do stuff to make it happen. And I think that is so entrenched in the Western culture that when you read that that's not it and that it's allowing,
Yeah.
deep grooves. You're going in there and you're making it happen, and you're just like, oh my God, you don't know why it's working. And then you read the book again. And then I had to even, after 20 plus years of studying this, I listened to Effortless Being and I'm like, oh my God, you know, this is because sometimes I would remember who I was and I would create from there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I saw that I was like, wow. So now I have that tool to go to when I'm high enough on the scale, emotionally, that I can see it and I can resonate with it. But when I'm lower in the scale, I do the meditation and other
Just so
processes.
the audience knows, like people that are listening, they're like, what is this scale that she's talking about? Maybe just say something about the
Yeah, the Abraham
emotions.
scale, the
Yeah.
emotional scale. Our emotions are an indicator of how close we are to our inner being or our who we really are, which is joy, happiness, and all that. And then all the negative emotions, stress, anxiety, those are lower vibrations, and you're usually identifying with the character, as you put it, and the mind and what it's thinking, and you're fretting, and you're in a fear-based place usually.
Yeah, that kind
So,
of ties into the effortless being because we always say like it's playing like we're playing like a frequency game almost like
uh-huh.
when we're feeling like joyful and appreciating things, and we're like easy about it and letting it flow, then things tend our human experience tends to be joyful and there's synchronicities and alignments and things like that just happen effortlessly. But if we're doing it from frustration and depression or sadness, then we seems to what mirrors out here is then that's kind of like the reflection that it becomes hard and effortful and it doesn't always work out the best. The human experience ride isn't as joyful.
Yes. And I think it's just beautiful, the whole tapestry of it all. Just
Mhm.
I just think it's our experience are so unique. And that's why we have all of these different ways of approaches that we can take to find our way home, so to speak.
Yeah, that's why, like, even when I bring up like the question to you, or we bring up questions, even when we're having these conversations, like this isn't something that you and I have like this superior knowledge that we have that's gonna. What I like to do is just point people right back to their intuition, is to let them
Yeah.
know, hey, check for yourself in your direct experience. How is this sounding to you? Like, does it make you feel, open and easy and joyful and light, or is it making you feel stress and tension or in lack or something? If it is, then you know to back off. But if you're feeling that lightness, that easiness, then that's the way to follow it. That's kind of like how our guidance system is. We can just check for ourselves. We don't need someone else to tell us that.
I will say that when I first started this work, that was really hard for me to do because I was taught that if it feels good, it's wrong or bad.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it depends on where your
Yeah,
background is
yeah,
and
what your
what you've been
background is, how
taught.
you're,
Because,
yeah.
yeah, my mom really believed in suffering in this life so you can get to heaven. So yes, yes,
Yeah,
and
so
that's
you're entrenched with that,
Catholicism.
with those
A lot
beliefs.
of Catholics believe that,
Yeah.
and those things, you got deep grooves in your
Yeah.
patterns, and so I wanted to do it. I wanted to believe it, and there was a period of time where I was suspicious of this stuff, thinking, okay, I'll test it out because I'm not
Yeah.
sure this is even going to work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it took a while, but I'm telling you, the laws of the universe are consistent. Law of attraction is consistent. I tried to fool law of attraction. You can't. You may fool your teachers. You may be able to fool your partner, and you could fool your work, people at your workplace. But the law of attraction, there's no fooling it. I tried. I tell you, for years.
Can't fake it, huh?
You can't fake
You
it
can't
because
put like a happy sticker over your
yeah,
feeling.
on the empty gas tank, put a happy face sticker on that and see if you get any gas from there.
She's got to be authentic and keep it real. Like this is
It
how
just doesn't
I'm
work.
feeling
Yeah.
like crap today. That's just what it
And
is.
and that's another thing is I went through a phase where I could not allow myself
To
I
feel.
thought I did something wrong if I
Yeah,
was in a
a lot
negative
of people
state.
like that.
So I would deny it or I would lie about it or I'd put a happy face sticker on. And I wouldn't
Yeah,
even let my children feel. I would just tell them something positive and that's
yeah.
not,
It's not real. Yeah.
no, no. And I just didn't understand. I was just trying to make something happen, trying
And
to
it's
feel.
funny you say emotional scale. Like if somebody's feeling like, frustrated, they don't have to go right from depressed and frustration to bliss and joy.
Not
You could
possible.
slowly go up the scale. You don't have to
Yeah.
like jump all the way up. It doesn't work like that.
It's
So
funny how
sometimes it's just a matter of just reaching for the next better feeling thought or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
You're right. And That's why I think that the two, effortless being and Abraham's work, is so complementary. It just gives you more tools in your toolkit, to choose from.
Yeah.
And I do love just sitting in the effortless being when I'm at Starbucks, and the idea.
Yeah, you're just like
I even get in my car and I am not.
relaxing, right? It's so
I
just
listen to
refreshing.
music and I'm choreographing a whole dance in my head, making up moves I've never seen before.
What kind of music do you like?
I like it all. My grandbabies have shown me Imagine Dragon. I love their music. My motorcycle music is whatever it takes. I like
Tell
Nat.
people about your motorcycle story you told me. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I just always wanted to be on a motorcycle since I was with my boyfriend when I was 16. I was riding on the back of the motorcycle and I always wanted one. And when I was in Mary Kay Cosmetics, I wanted to get a pink motorcycle with a pink leather suit and ride around, but I never got around to it. And then I had children, and then I thought, oh, it's too dangerous to do that. And both my boys got motorcycles, and my grandbabies are really into dirt bikes. And I was like, you know what? It's time. So
Yeah.
my son was both my boys were coaching me on, what to do, what to get, what gear, how to ride. And so
Cool.
what was that?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then I went to the motorcycle Clausen's where they sell them, and I found my perfect Ninja 500, and I sat on that thing, and I felt sporty. It was amazing, but I'm not gonna lie, it was a little scary too. So I've never ever knew how to shift gears, never been on a motorcycle before, and my son's teaching me through phone calls, and because neither of them live in town. So I got the bike delivered to my house and I put a crash cage on it. So if I dropped it, my bike would be fine because it's my baby now. So I put this crash cage, which makes me look really cool because that's what people use for stunts. See, so I look even more. So anyway, I just love all the styling of it and the fun of it. And I just did baby steps, and boy, was I nervous when I was on that bike and starting it, because I heard stories where people get jilted off if they don't hold the clutch and all that stuff. But I did baby steps and went around the block, and then I signed up for a motorcycle training.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I knew that I had to be in alignment and I needed to focus and be at really who I really am, and just be in the. So when that time came, I had to get up at 5 a.m. and go to the training, and they tell you don't have to have any experience. That is not true.
You do, right?
You've never been on a bike. I'm sorry. You need to be able to practice. So I'm glad I bought my bike and I practiced around the block. So when I went to the motorcycle training, they show you once and then you get tested. So the first time I went, they showed me how to do a steep corner. Didn't make it because I never practiced that before. They showed me once and that was it. And then we had to go or curve around the cones. Ran over the last cone. So I thought, I failed, whatever. If I fail this, I just need to take the course again, whatever. So the last one we had to do around the corner, and we had to nail it by, they call it spat, where you have to slow your speed, position, aim, the target, and you have to go in. And because I thought I had failed, I just released resistance, and I said, I'm just going to have fun with this thing. And of course, I got the bike that kept stalling because it was old and everything like that. And it started raining, and I was like, oh my gosh, and it's focus. But guess what? I nailed it, and I passed by 1 point.
Hey,
but I passed.
Good for you.
Yeah. So, and I feel like I was drawn to that from a spiritual sense because I think a lot of times we stop things from the lack state, like, oh, it's dangerous. Oh, something bad could happen. Oh, what are people going to think, and all that crap.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was guided to it because I've always wanted to do it. And when I was on that bike and I made that corner, and when I'm on the bike, I feel a sense of freedom and liberation.
Love it.
Not describe. It's kind of like when I dance with professional ballroom dance men that can guide me. We are like floating on the dance floor across, just gliding, and it feels just so liberating.
So in alignment with our true nature, which is true freedom and aliveness.
Yes. Joy. It just feels amazing.
Euphoria.
Yes, it's ineffable to
Yeah.
express how it feels. And I think also the danger of it, the you've got to focus. You can't be anywhere else. It's like
Yeah. So you don't have time to
or
go
in
to the mind or
meditation.
anything. You're in the
Yeah, you
zone.
don't you
In
you
the
can't mess
zone.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you mess around, it's gonna hurt, and but I got the gear and
Yeah.
I love the way the styling and I love the sportiness of it. And it just is who I am.
Let's
It's
close out with this. Let's close out with this. Effortless dating. We were talking a little bit about that, and I thought that was
yes.
kind of fun. I think people would want to hear that. Say something about that.
Well, I think with effortless dating, especially if you've had several experiences already, uh, if you know that you're whole and complete and you're abundant and everything you want already is, then you go in to dating with a different mindset than scrutinizing someone, seeing what's wrong, pros and conning, and all that stuff, which gets you in your head. And when you're in the effortless being state, you're just enjoying and allowing things to unfold organically.
Yes.
And you're being your true nature. And people worry, what if I'm at my true nature and I totally trust and I'm just see the positive aspects of somebody? What if he's a jerk or something and I attract that? Well, first of all, law of attraction won't allow that, because if you are whole and complete when you go in and you're in joy, you will attract the same. And if for some reason you were off when you attracted that person, they will fall away. They will just because the darkness cannot handle the light. So, effortless being is the way to go.
Yeah. What would you say? Looking for love in all the wrong places. What resonates when I say that?
When you're looking to anything else but your inner being for joy. Oh, when I have this man, he's going to make me happy. How many relationships are not even around now that I tried to please in order to make that happen, right? And
Yeah.
then you're looking to your children, or you're looking for that job promotion, or you're looking for the motorcycle to make you happy. Anything you're looking from outside, other than your inner being, is going to, it's looking for love in all the wrong places, because when you are looking at your inner being and you're, in the effortless being whole and complete,
Yeah.
then there's no pressure. You get to just enjoy,
Relax. Yeah.
relax, and be.
Yeah, I think these effortless conversations are great, and I think people are going to enjoy them. I think they're going to enjoy this, and I would just tell people subscribe and to our channel and tune in, and we'll continue to do these effortless being conversations with people. And even in the comments, if there's a topic you want, just go ahead and put it in there, and we'll be happy to talk about it. Anything else you want to say about
Yeah.
effortless conversations?
Sometimes with effortless being, people think, well, if you're just being, what is there to talk about? Just being, it's almost so simple, it eludes a lot of people, but it is an art, and it is something you can cultivate. So I think talking about it, it can be exciting. It doesn't have to be just, sitting on a rock meditating.
Yeah, let's have fun with life. We're here. We still have this body, and why not enjoy life and have fun with it? And
Yeah.
take that. And like you said, when you're creating from that place of effortless being, that feeling of whole and complete. I
It's
mean,
just
there's so much
natural.
creativity you can do, and so much fun you can have with this life. There's infinite possibilities in this space of being.
You just enjoy the flow, and it's
Yeah,
effortless,
go
fun,
with the
and
flow.
easy.
It's a good letter.
Yes,
Well,
it's
thank
a
you so much, Tammy, and encourage people to tune in again, subscribe, and this was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed it.
you too.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.